Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, it's good. Obviously a frustrating one yesterday. What was your level of frustration with that game?
How do you? What's the scale? I mean, I'd say the top end of the scale. Yeah, we just had a meeting with our staff, and I mean, like, just to be honest with you, you can't. Yeah, like, it's like you got the wind knocked out of you. It's like hard to feel like you can't breathe to a certain extent. Like, you can't sleep. You're sick to your stomach. Replayed the game, a million times, and there's things you're going to learn from it. And but you kind of have to think that way in order to grow, I think. And we're blessed with an opportunity to be on a short week, so you're forced to move forward, and that's what we're going to do.
Is it self-inflicted wounds that make you more frustrated as opposed to feeling like, hey, the other team was just better on that day, and you couldn't hang with them? Is that what you mean by the frustration?
Yeah. No, you're frustrated because we're not there yet, and you want to be there, and we're working extremely hard to get to that point, and the results aren't mirroring what we feel like the process is warranting, and so it's the same conversation we had throughout the year, and I feel like we're really close, and we show signs of it throughout the games, and our guys, I think our players feel, they feel it when we're playing as one, when we're playing 12, when the 12 is one, mentality is together, and that's how we're operating. We're a pretty dang good football team. We're just not doing as consistent enough to win games against teams that against really good football teams, which Minnesota's a really good football team, and we're right there. We make a couple more plays down the stretch, and we're having a different conversation right now. So that's how close we are. But yeah, I think of course you're frustrated, but it's more of a little more consistency to get to the team that we want to be.
Just the nuts and bolts of it there, Coach. Like, game ends, you have to start going in and game planning for Chicago, or do you have to go back and learn, as you said, with that growth mindset from some of the challenges of this game? Just walk me through from when the game ends to where we're sitting down this morning.
Well, it's there's parts of you that want to think the wrong things. To be honest with you, I mean, you're when life doesn't go your way, how are you going to handle it? And so, as our coach and the leader of our team, we got to move forward. We got a lot. We got so much ahead of us. It doesn't sometimes, like, if you trick yourself, it doesn't feel like it. But when you really look at it, it's right there. It's right there. And the cool thing is we have an opportunity to go on a short week. So my mentality is let's tell the guys we love them. They fought their tails off, and understand what happened in the game. We'll keep those conversations with our team in house, but and then we have to move forward. And for me, Brock, I haven't watched the Bears this year, so I just went right back to the office and started watching them. Mm-hmm. I wasn't ready to watch our game yet until this morning, so that's how I handled it. So it was Bears last night, Seahawks this morning until this point, and then just to kind of make sure we're understanding where we're at and where we need to grow and where we need to move forward. And then when we finish this, then it'll be all Bears moving forward.
When you say there's a part of you that wants to think the wrong things,
yeah,
is that like you want to? I mean, as a parent, Brock and I have talked about this any number of times. You want to yell, you want to scream.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to dwell on the past. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're human. There's things you're not happy about, and like, but we always talk about, okay, you're going to put your money where your mouth is. When we want to look inward, man. Like, we want to stick together. We want to look inward, and how can we make this thing grow and get better? And is as tough of a learning experience it is a learning. I mean, we have to learn from it and move forward. Otherwise, we're not going to get where we need to get. So that's really the ultimate mentality. But of course, I mean, you just it takes a minute. You got to digest. You can't just just kind of go through life just blind and just not think about those types of things. Of course, you're gonna think about what happened in the game, and some things aren't going to make you very happy. But okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix it? How are you going to move forward?
I think I've said, if not once, 100 times on broadcasts, Mike, over my couple decades of doing it, like those are the penalties that drive coaches nuts. The pre-snap penalties, right? The effort penalties, playing your butt off, getting a hand in a face mask. Sometimes those things happen. But the pre-snap motions and false starts and some of those things, can you speak to some of the challenges of that yesterday? Is that emotion? Is that just caught up? What led to so many of those pre-snap penalties yesterday in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, look, if we knew the exact answer on what we needed to do to fix pre-snap penalties, we wouldn't have them. So you got to go back to like, okay, how are we practicing? What type, like, are these guys put in this situation? Are we not mentally present in those moments where we can be cleaner? I think the answer is all the above, and we have to get it cleaned up. We'd have to, it's really hard to get it, to work from behind the sticks. It's just really, really tough, and our guys know that. They know that. And we talk about it every day. There's a lot of things we're doing on a day in, day out basis to try to prevent those types of situations, and but it's still happening. So we got to keep working on it and keep trying to find solutions for it. So those are conversations we had this morning, and our guys know it, and we got to go attack it.
I know you spoke a little to it yesterday. What happened with Riq Woolen to not start the game yesterday?
Well, it's the same thing. There's some team rules throughout the week, and just felt like it was the best thing for the team and for him not to start the game. And he was great. He understood, took accountability in that moment with his teammates, and that's how the whole like make it right mentality is about. Is, hey, we're going to take the emotion out of it, and we fell short of the expectations and our standard, and let's go make it right and let's move forward. So,
without addressing his infraction in particular, how many team rules do you have?
Not many.
Can you share what they like? What are the team rules?
I mean, team rules is like a generic statement, but it's like a team standard of just what we expect.
Okay.
And there's things that fall in line with that, but it's just we don't want guys walking around on eggshells on how that's not how we operate. It's just, but we have to hold each other accountable and be there for our teammates when they need us, and that's how we operate. So, and again, we're not like we're moving forward. I think that's just the best way to do it. If you start holding grudges and you get mad and emotions, that's not how you want to be. It's just let's rock and roll.
I think another one along the lines of some of those pre-snap penalties, Mike, the easy one is just to look at the overall rushing attempts, right? 15 rushes yesterday. I think it was 16 the week before versus the Packers. And it's really easy for me and for fans to say, just run the ball more. Why don't you run the ball more? Is you kind of diagnose and dig into some of that imbalance yesterday with 43 passes and 15 runs? What jumps out?
Well, like I said after the game, some of it start with how Minnesota operates, and they do a great job in the run game on early downs, and some of the like what they present structure wise and personnel. So a lot of those are run pass types options that we're getting out of run looks and passing it versus certain things. So I think that like on first and second down, that's what gets it. And then I think we need to be more efficient on first down to create some of those more run friendly types of situations too. I think that really the question that we need to be asking is, how do we keep it moving forward? Mm-hmm. How do we stay ahead of schedule? Which, look, I mean, until we're always going to be saying that from now until eternity, if that's the type of football we want to play. And there's a lot of good stuff happening on our offensive side of the ball yesterday out there. Our guys played physical. There's some mistakes. Like talking to Geno this morning, this guy's. I mean, he battled his tail off, man. This guy's an absolute competitor. I actually thought he played a really good game for the most part, and put us in a position to go win it. And there's a lot of good stuff. Situationally, we were way better. We wanted taking the sack in the plus territory was probably our worst play of the game.
Yeah, first and 10 with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, as a whole offensive operation, that's the one where we got to be better in that moment, really, for really everybody involved. So But other than that, I thought our guys played really hard, and there's a lot of good stuff on tape that we can build off of.
Kind of led you to a brutal choice, right? 60-yard field goal, 4th and 15, or punt.
Yep.
None of those are great options, so certainly I don't see any criticism here. But
No.
how do you go through those 3 lousy options in your head?
Yeah, you just do like back of the napkin math on probability, and that's honestly what you're thinking. Like, okay, this is the.
What came next? Go for it on 4th and 15? Would that have been the next?
No, the next one would have been to punt it.
Really?
Yeah, you get a 4-minute backed up. They would have been more aggressive in that moment, trying to get it out of range. We would have faith in our defense to get a stop in that moment too. But just felt like, hey, just like I said after the game, we're making decisions to try to go win this thing. We want to go win the game. So we felt like that helped us win the game the most. By trying to go tie it up. If that's a tough ask on J-My, but guy's a gamer, man, competitor, and he wanted a crack at it, so we gave it to him.
This may not surprise you. We get that little text toy that Salk looks at, and we get to engage with our listeners all show long, which is just awesome.
The what?
And
Brock calls it the text toy. It's an old Kevin Calabro thing. It's
Yeah.
just people who send us text messages throughout the day.
And it may not
You would
surprise.
imagine they're all they're never unhinged. They're totally rational and logical. Yeah.
But they're fans. It's awesome. They're invested. They love it. They're
text toy.
emotional.
Yeah.
But an old quarterback, can maybe defend quarterbacks a whole lot, which I've certainly done today with Geno's play and felt some of the brunt of that of others. Would you mind just kind of speaking into, you said it there, he's a hell of a competitor, but can you speak to how much of the offense he's been kind of carrying and leading, and maybe some stuff that we don't see just on game day that speaks to why you have continually just been at Geno's side?
Well, he makes it go. I mean, how could you? It's really simple. I mean, this guy, we put a lot on his plate. And rightfully so. He's earned the right to have a lot on his plate operationally, and so just incredibly prepared every day. Probably one of the most diligent workers that I've ever seen. The competitive. Well, my opinion about him as a competitor is on record and consistent. I mean, but like I think if you can't see that, like what are you watching? Arm talent, even him moving around. I think his under pressure stats are really good this year. So just like the poise in the pocket, accuracy. I mean, I don't know where else to go with this, but it's like his situational stuff, like the 2-minute comebacks. I mean, this is the same guy that put us in position to go win the game with 3 or 4 minutes to go. Defensively, we get a stop. Now we're talking about another Geno Smith, fourth quarter comeback. So, yeah, I mean that's the stuff that I see day in, day out. Is that what you're looking for, Brock? I mean,
It is. Now, the flip
yeah.
side of that is 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, which is going to get hit over my head a bunch, right? 17 touchdowns.
Yeah, the interceptions.
50, I mean, it's a lot of it, and in a really rough one in territory to give them a field goal. And, just some of those, how do you counter that as a veteran decision-making wise? And a couple more that went through their hands yesterday to try to counter or, and try to cut off some of those negative plays and some of those interceptions.
Well, yeah, I mean, that to me, that is, that's the part of his game where we're chasing and trying to make some better decisions in those moments. But yeah, that's I'd say that's fair criticism with the interception numbers. But look, I mean, it's the same thing that I'm going to say is like this is the same guy that is putting us in position in a lot of these games to go win, and yeah, we don't want to turn the ball over. Of course, we don't. And those are decisions that we dissect and go back. But you want your quarterback to be confident back there and trust in what he sees and working through his stuff and throwing the ball on time. And yeah, I mean, but we'll definitely don't want to turn the ball over for sure. He knows that, and we'll just keep attacking it, man. Keep attacking those decisions and the process that goes behind it.
Hey, how beat up was Charbonnett yesterday? We saw him on the injury report with the oblique. What was his health? Was he okay?
Yeah, he was okay. He was okay.
Did it limit him at all? Limit his carries? Anything like that yesterday?
Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say that it limited his workload.
Okay. The other, just to sort of jump around a little bit and kind of come back to the defense, Brock and I ended up talking earlier about the guys on the edge. The numbers don't look spectacular. You're not seeing anybody with 10, 12, 15 sacks, but it sure seems like you could pick a play or two in every game where each of those guys is really impacting the game.
Yeah.
Taken as a whole, how would you gauge the edge play from that group?
Well, I think we're on our way. I think I love our mentality up front because it's an 11-man rush mentality. So there's a lot of focus on Leo right now, in the pass protection, which he's earned, and the guys are playing off of him right now, and we got to keep learning on how to handle how teams are game planning us and being able to adjust in game of kind of the protection plan that everybody kind of goes into each game with. So that's something that we're all working together at. But our guys, I think, are playing really hard. I think the cool thing is they're playing unselfishly. They're playing together, and they're adhering to the plan. And I think that's really cool. So, and we decide to pressure. It does complement one another where we can bring things from kind of all over the place. And it just sets everybody up. So happy with where they're playing. But I think that, there's another level we can go to for sure.
Is there, just to talk about Derick Hall for a moment in particular, we talked about him a little bit early this year and just some of the growth that we've seen from last year to this year. How has that growth continued over the course of the year? And then maybe what's the next step for someone like him?
You're asking about like his growth from when exactly?
Maybe from when you got here to now and sort of what could still be ahead for him.
Well, I think it kind of sounds weird, but he kind of grew by understanding what type of player he is and like what his strengths were and playing to those, and then let the change-ups fall off of that. But this guy's a physical, rugged, speed to power player on the edge that he knows. This guy, he's battling some stuff now without putting air in the dry, the dirty laundry. But like he's not 100%, but he's playing his tail off. He's playing really hard. He's working through things, and so I think that's just the growth is accepting what type of player he needs to be successful. And I think you've seen the results from it. But this guy could be a really good player. This guy could, like I'm talking about production-wise, can really talking about a double-digit sack guy on a consistent basis. I believe he's that type of player.
How about those receivers for Minnesota yesterday, Coach? How special is Jefferson in particular? Having studied the tape, and you probably defended him before, but then seeing it in person again yesterday, and obviously the touchdown at the end to kind of slash the scheme there. How special a player is that dude?
Yeah, he's a great player. You got to give him his props. He's a great player. Addison's a great. They have a great. They've done a great job with their skill people, and Addison's a great player as well. And then they just complement each other really well. And you have to have a really tight plan to account for where he is at all times. And when he was singled, they made us pay on the one, and then when he made a great play at the end as well. So they're great players.
Just football teaching, and not to air either guy out because I don't know. We don't know all the details of that scheme as you're trying to cloud coverage there for Riq, and he's hearing it on social media, whatever. Like, what is the responsibility there? If he inside releases, you just try to just hammer him in a little bit more, or Julian a little deeper over the top. How do you just kind of detail-wise stop that?
Yeah,
scheme?
Look, if you ask me a normal like X's and O's question, I will sit here for the next 2 hours and I'd love to just talk like strengths and weaknesses of calls and coverages and hey, this guy, this is the technique. Like that's that I wish I got those questions all day long. On this one, it's the guy made a great play. Sam stepped up in the pocket. We had a good rush. We didn't get it done. And like you said, like sometimes it's just they made a great play, and our guys were right there, and we you would have wished that we go 6 inches closer and it was a PBU and we're on to second down, but that's not what happened. So there's some details of that play that, as with every play, there's coaching points on stuff that we'll keep that with the our guys in house, and we'll make sure we're buttoned up and moving forward. But yeah, that was that was a great play by them.
I think similarly, there's been a lot of conversation about the final interception and whether or not the wide receiver is in the right spot. Is that something you can talk about?
Look, we're not pointing fingers, or we're not playing the blame game. This is not, you can't operate like that. You can't. You go back, you assess the tape and what the play design was and all that. Like, look, let's keep that. Let's respect that. Like, we just need to be better in that moment. Our people of what we're going to get to in those chunk situations, where the ball needs to get to. And then it just all needs to be better. So from the route being run to the ball, play design, all that type of stuff, we're in a tough situation to go about 50 yards in 50 seconds with no timeouts. So Minnesota knows that, and they played us accordingly. They had some good stuff ready on defensively, and I thought we had a good plan. We just didn't execute it. So that's what happened.
Which is why this league has me pacing around a pool, as you not sleeping, as feels like, as you said, you get the air knocked out of you, because Minnesota is 8-1 in one-score games, and it's why they're 13-2. I mean, those handful of plays each game, those 4, 5, 6 defining, you never know when they are, right? I mean, it just feels like they are such a case example of that, of being buttoned up in those moments and in those situations, and a huge part of why they're 13-2. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, it's more than fair. And we want to be the team that's elite in one-score games, and we're going to be that team. That's we're chasing that every day on how we practice situations, what we study, how we're building our systems, all those things. And that's part of the reason that you feel frustration, because you felt like that we had a really great opportunity to take that next step as a team and get a big time win at home in front of our fans. And we didn't take advantage of that opportunity, so that's why it stings. But they deserve a lot of credit as well. I mean, it's a really good football team, really well coached, and they did a good job. They did enough to win the game.
We just got a minute or so left, so I'll throw kind of a random one at you, a guy that we have not spent much time talking about, and he's not a household name, but the physicality and play of Josh Jobe since he has taken over that spot. Again, the opposite of a household name, comes in late this year. What is it about him that has allowed him to take over that spot?
Well, I think this is a great opportunity to show about how we want to operate here. So when you're given your opportunity, his intent of what he does every day is what we're looking for. So I've talked about this in press conferences to the beat writers and stuff, but like, if you just go to a walkthrough and you just watch 29 do his thing, that's what we're talking about. So it's not like, hey, I'm going to get a huge sweat in and I'm going to overcook everything and make it extra and all this. But it's like, what's my footwork? What's my alignment? Where are my eyes? We call it mental sweat. What's my initial footwork? Okay, next play. Boom. What's my initial reaction? Over and over and over and over again. And that's how we need to operate, everybody.
Sounds very purposeful. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
we
talk about intent. That's maximizing every opportunity that you're given to give yourself a best chance to get prepared to go play at a high level. And so that's what you see on game day.
Go to Chicago Thursday night. Got to root for the Cardinals on Sunday against the Rams. And we'll be back here to talk more about it on Friday. Merry Christmas. Thank you for coming in today.
Appreciate you guys.
And we'll be back.